Hey guys, welcome to Vegg'n Out with Kate. It is March or May 20th and we're in Wisconsin, zone 5-ish, depends on the year. I'm planning to get a lot planted today. I've got a lot planted already. I've covered my beds for the spring, so I was able to plant a lot, and then now I'm already harvesting. So I'll show you what we're planting today. You kind of want to get as much planted right now as you can, except for a lot of the hot plants like peppers, cucumbers, but pretty much anything else can get planted. So I'll show you what I got today. This is my first bed that we covered when there was still snow on the ground, and I had lots of seeds started, but you can tell I've got kohlrabi, we've got mammoth snow peas in the back, and then these are sugar snap. We got onions left over from last year, so I'm going to definitely do that in the fall. I'm going to plant onions in the fall. And lettuce I've been harvesting for pretty much every week since early March, I'd say. Yeah. And I just started, as I'm harvesting kohlrabi, I'm planting little beans where the kohlrabi was, so never leaving a spot unplanted. Over here, this is my second bed. We got some kale, more kohlrabi, pak choi, these cute little guys, and mustard greens, and I just planted marigolds as well, some onions. So this is kind of like the second crop. I only had a cloth covering on this one for a few weeks. The first bed had a plastic covering, so we're kind of doing some succession harvesting here. Here's where I start to run out of bed space, but I had a lot of extra seedlings, so I just planted them anyway. More onions, pak choi, kohlrabi. And then I started to plant some flowers. This is alyssum. Bees love it, and it smells great. And then I've started to plant more beans here, some more bush beans. We also have Brussels sprouts, so I've never really grown Brussels sprouts successfully, but we're gonna give it a try. I started a lot of tomato seeds, and usually I would like them to go in a bed just because they use so much water. But my cold crop plants had already filled up all the beds, so we're going with pots this year. What I'm also going to do is start planting more things in the tomato pots that are not going to really compete too much with the tomato. So I'm going to see if parsley or cilantro or maybe some more mustard greens might work. We'll see how that goes. I've always heard that you could plant marigolds next to tomatoes because the marigold scent masks the scent of the tomato and then prevents tomato pests from finding the plant. And maybe it's different for planting them in pots, but the marigold needs the same nutrients that tomato needs to produce flowers and greenery. So I don't really want both the plants competing for the same nutrients in this pot. Maybe it's different if it's in a bed. So I'm going to try putting mustard greens in there instead. Well, I guess that's, you're not really competing for flowers then, at least. But if you have any thoughts, let me know. Here's another thing I'm trying. I'm going to try and plant some beets in a tomato pot, and we'll see. The theory is that beets are roots plants. They're short, whereas the tomato is going to get very tall. It is going to need a lot of nutrients, so I'm going to have to watch that. But they shouldn't at least be competing too much for light, maybe some different nutrients, and not competing that much for root space. So, see how it goes. Let me know what you're trying. Trying anything different, anything you haven't really read about, or you have but you're skeptical but you're going to try it anyway. Let me know how it goes. I'll show you guys something with the snow peas and sugar snap peas that I've got. These massive, beautiful plants were planted in this covered bed. It had plastic on it for quite some time, a few months, and they look gorgeous. I believe I planted these, I seeded them at the same time, and they were just kind of kept indoors under a light. You see how much smaller they are? And they did not get as much protection from the cold and the rain, So they're just a little punier, especially this guy. It's a little sad. They'll be fine, but it was a lot slower start. So next year I'm going to try and I'll plant peas in this bed again, or another covered bed, and then I'll wait and seed a few weeks later, and then when it's nice and warm like it is this week, I'll plant them in pots or whatever else other non-covered room I have, and they should look a lot better. But that just kind of shows you what the peas are capable of and what to avoid. Alrighty, day 2 of the spring planting weekend, and it just rained this morning, so I am out here as early as I could be to do a little bit of harvesting. I want to harvest the lettuce. Been harvesting from that every week now for a few months, and I think probably a few of the kohlrabi. They're looking pretty good, and they're starting to get a little bit of snail damage. So, and maybe some pak choi from over here. This pak choi is looking really nice, so I'll take a few leaves from each plant. And maybe a few little kale leaves. So, good stuff. Last but not least, for today, I'm planting some pole beans. A few different types, but I think it should be warm enough, and the evenings shouldn't be too cold where hopefully they won't get hindered too much. Pay no attention to the cardboard. It's mainly just to try and prevent weeds around the base of the pots, so that when I don't have to like weed whack around the pots. And then eventually another bed will be going here as well, so the grass will be a bit smothered before putting in another bed. We also put up our bean trellising today. The beans weren't tall enough earlier, so didn't really have to bother with it till now. But now they are looking gorgeous, and they are ready to do their thing. It's now day 3 in the great spring 2021 planting weekend. It's going a little slower than I always want it to. I got a little excited. I started planting some of my peppers, and I just took a look at the forecast for the week, and there are a few nights where it goes into the 40s and a little bit into the 30s. So let's hold off on planting your peppers. Keep them inside at nights on those cold nights. And then what else do we have going on? Gonna want to start planting more beans. This week I've got a bunch of bush beans and pole beans, lima beans. That's about it for the planting this week. Let me know if you're planting anything. So that's all I have planned, but it's not because I don't want to plant more. So thanks for hanging out with Vegg'n Out with Kate, and have a good week.